We're so excited to have him here. He's an accomplished comedian. He tours around a lot, and he's got a show every Sunday over at Shannon's Pub. So you got to go check it out there as well. The talented Nelson Mayer, everyone. Give it up for Nelson.
Thanks very much, Emma. I just want to welcome you to Winnipeg, by the way, first time here. I'm glad you're liking it. Come back in January, though, before you make your opinion. You don't get the full Winnipeg experience until you've met some drunk squeegee kid pounding back a Slurpee yelling fucking "Go Jets" outside of a Salisbury house. So, come back for that. Before I get started, I just want to mention something. I recently applied to be in the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, but I unfortunately didn't meet the criteria, so I didn't get into that show. And then I applied to be in Next Top Comic, and again, unfortunately, I didn't meet the criteria for that show. So I'd like to just quickly say thank you to my uncle for helping me meet the criteria for this show. Yeah. And thank you all for laughing, because I've been nervous as hell all day. I'm glad that was well received. So when I contacted Emma and Heather about being a part of this show, it was weird for me because I contacted them and I was almost apologetic in a way. I was getting in touch with them like I felt like I didn't belong here, like maybe my story wasn't good enough. And in researching some stories of rape survivors, I found it interesting that really paralleled a lot of women's experiences where you don't meet that typical Hollywood version of rape, a stranger in a back alley getting beaten up. It's like, generally it's somebody that you know, and maybe it was a date that went a little too far and you feel like maybe I should have said more, and you feel like, like I was feeling like after I heard other people's rape stories, like, holy shit, their rape is so much better than mine. And that's a weird line of thinking, right? I recognize that. There should not be a thing as rape envy. But that's what I was experiencing, right? It was really weird for me. In talking with them, they helped me come to terms with it and get very comfortable with being up here on stage. So I think this show is a fantastic idea. I think it's amazing that we can get together and share our stories and own them. So I want to just say a round of applause for them for putting this all together. Then when I decided to be in the show, it was interesting because I started telling friends and family that I was going to be doing this show. And when I talked to them and I said, I'm going to be involved in a thing where you get up on stage and it's for comedians who have experienced rape, I know some of them were looking at me like they wanted to ask, which side did you experience it on? Well, yeah, I'm up here presenting the piece of shit rapist point of view. That's what I'm doing. Interesting for me to see that. Or they would look at my tattoos and assume it was like a prison thing for me, right? Like, I've never been in prison. I wouldn't survive a day in prison. I'm so timid I got raped on a tour of Alcatraz, so. I asked a friend of mine if he was going to be coming to the show to support me. And a true story, he looked at me and said, well, I didn't realize that I could go. Well, you don't have to have been a rape survivor to come and watch the show. I mean, number one, that would be the most hefty price of admission to ask anybody in the history of comedy. And number two, do you really think there's going to be security at the door with rape kits questioning people? I'm sorry, sir, you look a little too conservatively dressed. We're going to have to double check this. Come with me. Not going to happen. And how crazy would it be, by the way, anyway, if security guards could prove that people have been raped when most cops don't even give a shit enough to try, right? I was interviewed yesterday for an article in the Free Press. I don't know if anybody saw that today. Thanks very much. I looked online and the headline said, have you heard the one about the rapist? And then there's a picture of me standing there like... I saw that and I thought, Jesus Christ, I hope people read this whole article. And they just don't look at the headline and look at me and go, what a fucking asshole. That was a little embarrassing. I was trying to get ready for this show and I was trying to test out jokes. And it's very difficult because as soon as you say the word rape, people tend to shut down. And I understand why that happens, but it's very difficult. I even tried at my open mic last week. And it was weird because I started off rather strong, doing some jokes, and everybody was with me. And then I just took an immediate left turn without warming the audience up. I basically just punched them in the throat. And said, so let's talk about the time my uncle raped me. Let's do that now. Nobody wanted to hear that shit. Thought, wow, this is going to go great when I show up here. Very difficult. I used to do a joke, like I said, as soon as you say the word rape, it throws people off. And I used to do a joke that I thought was great, but I used that word. And I would tell people, I was talking with my kids and how they always play video games. And that when I was a kid, I used to love going outside and playing. And my favorite game to play was Cowboys and Indians. Except when the Cowboys would steal my land and rape my sister. Yes, that's the reaction. One person is clapping. I appreciate it. That's all it takes. Thank you, Emma. I still think that's a brilliant joke, but I recognize as soon as you hit that word rape, people shut down. And it made it really awkward to practice for this show. That's all I'm saying. And I don't know if you're aware of this. This is another thing I like to do, because I like to make people uncomfortable. That's a lot of fun for me. I like to mess with people, and I like to use my story to do that. And men do weird, stupid shit, like we'll get together and argue and try to compete with, who lost their virginity at a younger age. Men actually do this, which is stupid. So they'll be like, well, I was 17 when I lost mine, and somebody else says, I was 16, and I always pipe up and ruin the conversation by going, well, I was 3. I was a sexy toddler, I had a bad uncle. Always shuts that conversation down. I love making people uncomfortable. Even the free press guy that came to take my pictures, I made him uncomfortable because he showed up. He said, I need to take some pictures of you for this article. And I said, well, letting a grown man take pictures of me is kind of how I got into this mess in the first place. He did not find that funny. Not even a smile, just a serious look and uncomfortable. That was the second most uncomfortable photo shoot I've ever taken part in. You guys are an awesome crowd. I wish I actually spent time trying to memorize this shit. But I think a lot of the reason why people have a hard time believing me when I share my story is because I do joke about it. And I've heard people actually say, if you were assaulted, why would you joke about it? And the actual reason why I joke about it is because I was assaulted. This is my therapy. This is why I do this, and this helps me cope with it. But a lot of people don't understand that. And I lost my train of thought again. I'm nervous. Like, you guys ever have that dream where you wake up, you're at school or at work, and you're completely naked and you feel so awkward? That's exactly what this fucking feels like right now.
Yeah!
Yes, thank you. So this is the first time I've ever actually talked about this on stage. But when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I lived in Dauphin, and I had an uncle who was babysitting me for the weekend, and he did some inappropriate things to me and my brother. So when I tried to write jokes about it, I would say I had a bad uncle. And I tell people, well, don't feel bad for me because I had a great childhood because of it. I got to go to the park all the time, all the candy I could eat, right? All the ice cream I ever wanted, so it wasn't all bad. And I had a neglectful father, right? He didn't ever want to play with us, but my uncle sure wanted to play. Unfortunately, I always had to be the catcher. He was always the pitcher. This is the kind of shit I wrote. This is why my open mic was having nothing to do with me. It's crazy. You know what really frustrates me about the whole rape thing is when people say stupid shit like, well, it had something to do with what she was wearing, right? That's one of the most things that drives me fucking crazy. Looking back on it, though, it might have had something to do with what I was wearing, because I was wearing a pretty sexy Cookie Monster shirt. I mean, Cookie Monster was pounding cookies in his mouth wide open, so maybe that sent the wrong message. I don't know. I was thinking about it. That really is the dumbest thing. The dumbest line of thinking anybody could ever say is that somebody was raped because of the way they dress. That's so fucking stupid. Drives me nuts. Rape is the only crime where people try to pull that shit. Like, can you imagine if somebody was reporting a robbery and the cop was like, well, what were you doing using an ATM that late at night in that community anyway? And by the way, were you wearing that fancy suit? And how do we know he didn't think you wanted to give him your money? Just fucking stupid is all I'm saying. I can't believe people still think that way. You guys are patient for me, thank you. One last thing I want to talk about. A lot of comics, when they start out, they do start out by doing rape jokes. Just shock value humor, which is terrible. And they want to do it because they think it's edgy, right? And I'm going to be honest, when I first started doing comedy, that was the kind of thing that I did. I remember being at Rumor's Comedy Club, getting up on stage for a competition, And I opened with a rape joke. Very lowbrow humor, and a lot of people laughed, but there's a table to the right of me that clearly were not having it. They were offended, a group of ladies. And in the moment, I thought, haha, I'm so hardcore, I'm so edgy, look at me. And I said, wow, I lost this whole table already. You're going to love the next joke then. And I went and told another rape joke. And on the way home that night, I was thinking about it, and I started wondering, well, why were they so offended by this? Started questioning in my own mind, and I realized really quickly, well, shit, obviously one of them has been raped in her lifetime, maybe even more than one of them. And here I am on stage, re-victimizing them, and I felt like a total piece of shit for doing that. And I decided in that moment that I was never going to do that again. Nope, I had enough, not going to do it. And yet here I am, doing a full set on rape jokes. 10 minutes of rape jokes going against saying that I would not do it again. So I guess maybe sometimes no doesn't mean no. I like how many assholes are here that laughed at that. Thank you guys so much. One final thought before I leave. You guys have been fantastic. It's been a lot of fun. I don't like the word molestation. I really can't stand that word. I think it minimizes the experiences of survivors. I think that rape is rape, and it should be called as such. That's my personal opinion on that. And thank you, Troy. Yeah, you can talk about that. I also don't think that we should use the word rape anymore, to be honest. I think we should change that word to something that the courts will take a lot more serious. So I think from now on, we should call all rapes tax evasion. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'm Nelson Mayer.
Keep it going for Nelson Mayer. That was a just for laughs rape set if I've ever seen one. That was great. Oh man, good job. Oh gosh,